So for the next lesson, to begin with, so we've started with blind contour and semi-blind contour, and now we're going to move on to what we call visual perception with cones, cubes, and cylinders. And what that's doing is you're visually breaking down the object into simple forms, meaning cones, cubes, cylinders. Most objects, when you look at them, you can break that complex form down into a simpler visual language, and that's what drawing. That's one of the facets of drawing is typically you'll start with simple language, straight lines, angles, cones, triangles, squares, and then from that you then can specify the details as long as you build the form up properly. It's almost like the armature for a model or mannequin for fashion. We start with a simple language first and then build upon those foundations to then refine, and refine. So once again, looking at this shell, I can definitely see a certain type of cone here. I can definitely see that there is a cylinder here, perhaps a really squat, fat cylinder here, and then here you could almost go both. There's almost a triangular shape here, and break this down almost into small segments. So when looking at it like that, if you were to look at the shell like that, you can start your semi-blind contour. If you look at it, it's almost like there's a simple triangular shape here, built with another simple shape here, just almost a cylinder. You could even almost put an entire cone right at the top for that entire area. You can almost put just a whole cone there. And so try not to get too held up on the organic shapes, because then after that, it's kind of a rectangle, maybe another rectangle to start to make that, the way that falls down. You can even say it's probably another conical shape down here. And you can even start to see that there's a specific angle here from the top, this point here to that point, so that this rectangle here sits there. You really are looking at basic shapes to start to create more organic ones. So that from this kind of simpler language, you can then go in and start to refine a bit more how these actually look to your eyes. And once again, I'm just going along the contours and following the shapes that I've made, but then refining some details in just some areas to start to understand the form of that. So by having this blocked in shape here, I have a better understanding of how this line then flows along that, but softens it and makes it that organic line that we all enjoy. Notice I'm really not lifting my pencil very much either. It's not bad, and you could even go in if you like and just sort of intimate where this opening is very simply. So you blocked in some of that. And by blocking it in, you kind of can see now that we got it. By using the simpler language, you're then able to refine the contours. And so visual perception is going to be very important. We're going to start to look at straight verticals, horizontals, and like we touched on here, the angles at which these points on this object sit. So we're going to start looking at it as almost kind of a topographical map. So at this point, the visual perception is start to break down the object into these simple shapes, cones, cubes, cylinders, and just build it up with just, remember, all I was using was squares. There's a cone here, more of a triangle here, and then I was building up this organic shape with basically a rectangle, smaller rectangle, a cone, and then a square, cube, and then another rectangle, and that helps to guide then your eye when you go to do the contour. And don't worry about erasing anything. I want to see all of the armature and the simple language that you use. And in some objects, you might have to start using what we call ellipses or circles, these flattened circles. And so yeah, definitely try your hand at those. But to begin with, definitely try to use these simple shapes, and you can even say, triangles, squares, to break down a complex object into a simpler language that then really makes it easy to inform how those more graceful lines go. So definitely want to see, you'll see in the handout how many I want you to do, but it's a great exercise building on our contour, blind and semi-contour drawings of just working the object into simple foundational language to help build these more organic contours, building on what we've done before. So it's a great way to break down any kind of visual image. Is the more foundational you can see the complex forms, the easier it is to then refine and build it from the ground up.